Here is the unexplainable particle found in D.B. Cooper's tie, a blended particle with pure titanium shown in green and a 12 chrome or 400 series stainless steel shown in red. Can we find where this particle came from? Perhaps. But first we need to give credit to the citizen sleuths for all of the excellent scientific work that they have completed. The evidence that I will present is based upon the findings of the citizen sleuths. As noted on the Citizen Sleuths website, these particles from Cooper's tie are very small, about 1/10 the diameter of a human hair. It is noted that various metallic particles are found in Cooper's tie, including aluminum, stainless steel, bismuth, and pure titanium. Pure titanium usage was rare in 1971, and most of the titanium utilized was grade 5, or an alloy which contains 6% aluminum and 4% vanadium. This alloy is used in the aircraft industry due to its high strength-to-weight ratio. But other metallic particles were also found on the tie, including gold, silver, and palladium. Truly, this was a unique environment in which Cooper worked. But besides unusual metal substances, a unique metallic particle was found on Cooper's tie. This blended particle included pure titanium and a 400 series stainless steel particle that had been smeared into it. This is truly unique, as the two metals must be present, as well as machinery that would create the necessary forces to smear them together. Joe Lakich retired from the Army in 1961 and then worked in the electronics manufacturing industry for the next 10 years. He worked for a company named International Electronics Industries, or IEI, in the 60s, and by the early 70s he was working for Nashville Electronics. Let's examine some of the history behind these companies and their products. This article from November 11th, 1956 issue of the Nashville Tennessean discusses the early years of IEI and how its founders, James Pugh and Dr. A.M. Holliday, developed the product and got their start. James Pugh is pictured here holding a portable radio which utilizes 3 of his capacitors. Capacitors are energy storage devices that absorb excess energy or release needed energy in an electrical circuit. In a radio, they help reduce static. Note that these are miniature devices that were designed for the new age of portable electronics. By 1956, IEI had over 100 customers, including big-name companies like General Electric, Zenith, and Westinghouse. IEI manufactured electrolytic capacitors. These were electrochemical devices. They utilized a chemical or electrolyte in the capacitor. Some of the electrolytes were corrosive, thus there was a need for metals that resisted corrosion, like aluminum, stainless steel, and titanium. This example shows an aluminum can or casing. However, some of these casings were made from stainless steel or titanium. Since electronics was a rapidly evolving industry, let's examine some of the capacitor technology of the 1960s. Here is one filed in 1969 for an electrolytic capacitor with a stainless steel casing. Note that this patent was assigned to Sprague Electric Company. Here is another patent filed in 1964 for an electrolytic capacitor with a highly pure titanium electrode. Note that this patent is assigned to Westinghouse Electric Corporation, so pure titanium is used within this industry. This patent, assigned to Sylvania Electric Products, utilizes bismuth titanate to form a dielectric film inside the capacitor. Silver and a gold palladium alloy are also utilized in its construction. From a textbook, a discussion on electrolytic capacitors mentions the use of gold and silver. However, one electrolytic capacitor has a titanium case, which is an essential part of the design. This patent by Bice, assigned to General Electric, discusses the use of a layer of ruthenium deposited on the inner portion of the capacitor casing. The author compares this to silver, platinum, and palladium enhanced capacitors, stating that this new ruthenium design offers comparable performance, but is significantly less costly. The author also notes that ruthenium adheres most tenaciously to titanium. In this follow-on patent by Bice, an electrolytic capacitor with a titanium case is presented. This design prevents capacitor failure due to reverse voltage. So as we examine the technology developed for electrolytic capacitors, we find that many of the metals found in Cooper's tie, including aluminum, stainless steel, titanium, bismuth, silver, gold, and palladium. But here is another patent of interest, a method of capacitor manufacture. In Figure 1, the core of the capacitor, with the foil and paper impregnated with electrolyte, is assembled. Then, in Figure 2, a plastic plug, Part 20, is molded to contain and seal the wire leads. The assembly from Figure 2 is now placed in the casing, Part 10, as shown in Figure 3. Note that this casing is shaped like a can, so that it only needs to be sealed on the open end. In Figure 4, a bead or indent is formed in the casing and shown as detail 30. Also, the top of the casing is rolled to form a reversely turned end, detail 34. Then, as shown in Figure 6, an end collapsing tool, Part 38, is utilized to forcibly shorten the casing, as shown in detail 44, and the reversed end at the top of the casing is forcibly embedded into the plug. This action rigidly contains the plug at the end of the capacitor. A 12 chrome steel or 400 series stainless would be an ideal material for the end collapsing tool, Part 38. A 440C alloy would be a good choice because of its high strength, hardness, and good wear resistance. So let's examine this end collapsing tool and the process in more detail by looking at the details shown in this red circle. As the end collapsing tool lowers and first comes in contact with the titanium casing, it is noticed that forces exerted by the tool are distributed over a small area, causing a point of high contact stress. As the tool continues to descend, it will abrade against the titanium case as it is bent, formed, and pressed into the plug. This area of concentrated stress will create blended particles like the one found by the Citizen sluice, with the 400 series stainless steel smeared into the titanium particle. It is easy to understand how this small particle, 1/10 the diameter of a human hair, could end up in someone's tie as they use this machinery. So all of the criteria are met, and we can envision how this unique blended titanium particle was formed. Note that the patent concerning this method of capacitor manufacture had two inventors, and one was James Pugh, one of the founders of IEI. And this patent was assigned to Nashville Electronics, the company that Joe worked for in the early 1970s. In summary, the materials found in D.B. Cooper's tie are materials found in the electrolytic capacitor industry of the 1960s and early 1970s. Metals like aluminum, stainless steel, titanium, bismuth, and even gold, silver, and palladium were utilized. But more importantly, the unique particle from Cooper's tie, a blend of 400 series stainless steel and titanium, is readily explained by the process patents of the era. It is easy to understand how Joe Lakich, working as a production supervisor, used the specialized machinery at Nashville Electronics to help meet production quotas. So one day, while working on a capacitor with a titanium case, a minute particle created by the end collapsing tool ends up in his tie. So perhaps Dennis Lisney, the ticket agent at Northwest, had it right. His overall impression of D.B. Cooper? A laboring type man as opposed to an office worker. Thus, working in an environment with unusual metals, plus working with specialized machinery that could create the rare blended titanium particle, Joe Lakich is a very unique individual. In my basic probability analysis, I assigned a value of 1 in 100 for Joe's place of employment. I believe that the true number is probably more like 1 in 100,000.